Good day. Welcome to another video. We'll continue with functions. So here we're given question 6, of which point S is given as the turning point of the parabola with the equation f of x a squared plus bx plus c, of which we also know that this is actually basically the maximum point of the graph, right? And then we are told that P and T are the x-intercepts of f, of which that's where it dot crosses or touches the x-axis. So we also have the second graph, which is a straight line, the graph of G, which has an x-intercept at T, of which we are also told that R is the point of intersection of the two graphs F and G, where it's actually where they touch or cross each other, right? So 6.1, they say calculate the coordinates of T. But then we know from the statement that T is basically the x-intercept of the graph of G, right? So for x-intercept, we know that we have to let y is equals to 0, since y is 0 at the x-intercept, right? So therefore 0 is equals to negative 2x plus 8, right? Of which we get 2x being equals to 8. Divide both sides by 2, get x is equals to 4. But then from this, they actually ask for the coordinates of t. So t coordinates will be 4 and 0, right? And then 6.2, they say determine the equation of f in the form f of x a squared plus bx plus c. Show all your working. So here they say we must determine this f of x in this form, which is basically the standard form. One thing we know is what? From the previous question 6.1, we have one root of this equation, right? Since the f and g touch at point t, right? So this is the root of f of x as well. And then we also have point S, which is 1:18. So this is basically our turning point, right? So we have two useful points. And now what's left for us to express this in the root form is for us to have the second root, right? Okay, so anyways, what we know using S is what? We know that S is basically point S, right? S 1:18. We know that since it's the turning point, it actually produces the equation of symmetry, right, which is x equals to 1. Its x coordinate is actually the equation of symmetry. And then here we're at point what, t, and then here we have p, of which same distance from here, same distance to there, right? Therefore, another thing that we also have to notice that the x coordinate of the turning point, or the axis of symmetry, right, which is basically xs, is actually the average of p and t, right, since it's in the middle. Okay, so here we have 1, and then xp plus, we know this is 4/2, and then here we get 2 being equals to xp plus 4. Therefore xp equals to -2. Okay, and then from that, this is basically our second root that we wanted. So now we can express this in the root form, having y a x minus a, and then x minus b, right? And of which from this is a, x minus, what is the root? -2. Then the other root was -4, right? From this we get a x plus 2, and then x minus 4, okay? Y. And then from this, in the graph that we have, right, xy, in the graph that we have, we must note what? We must note that we can use any point to substitute for y and x so that we can be able to find a. Any point we can use, right? Except for where the graph touches the x and y axis. So we can't use this point, and this point, right? So anyways, in this case, we are given S 1:18. So we can substitute our 1:18, of which we get 18 being equals to A, 1 plus 2, and then 1 minus 4. We end up with 18 being equals negative 9a, right? And then, okay, divide by negative 9 both sides. Our a ends up being equals to negative 2. So substituting this all the way here, we end up with y equals to negative 2 x plus 2 and then x minus 4. Let's multiply out the brackets. We get x squared minus 4x plus 2x minus 8, right? From this, we end up with negative 2x squared. Let's add this to negative 2, and then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Therefore, we get positive 4x, and then negative times negative is 6 is positive. That's 4 positive 16. So this right here is the final answer, right? And then now, okay, off to 6.3. So 6.3, they say if f of x is equals to this, of which calculate the coordinates of r. First thing to note here is whatever answer you got in 6.2 has to match the one in 6.3. Basically, they're telling you that the answer of 6.2 is what you are given in 6.3. Should you have found something different, note that you did something wrong. Okay. So anyways, they say calculate the coordinates of r. So what we know that r is what? The y value of g and f are the same, right? And also their x values are the same. So we can equate the equations, equating their y values, right? F of x equals to g of x. So here we know f of x is what? Negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 16, which is equals to negative 2x plus 8. From this, we get negative 2x squared plus 6x plus 8 being equals to 0. Divide both sides by negative 2. X squared minus 3x minus 4 is equals to 0. Therefore, let's factorize. X minus 4 plus 1. X plus 1 equals to 0. Or x minus 4 equals to 0. From this, we get that equals to negative 1, or x is equals to 4. Okay, of which, looking back into the graph, right, where is our r? Our r is at the negative end, right? Negative x-axis, so it's basically negative 1. So we can say y r is equals to, let's substitute this back into g of x, since the y values are the same there, right? This will be negative 1 plus 8. This gives us 10. Therefore, our r is what? Negative 1 is to 10, okay? So we're done with that. Now off to 6.4. So let's begin with 6.4.1. They say, use the graphs to solve for x where f of x is greater than or included g of x. Okay. So basically what they're asking here is, in the y-axis, they want to know, basically, we're gonna be using the y-axis as our reference. Where is the graph of f of x? The graph of f of x, where is it greater than the graph of g of x? Even if here we have 3 and at the top we have 4, this is still true. The graph of f of x is greater than the graph of g of x, right? But then in this case, they also said included. So I'm gonna show you the included part, what it basically means. So let's draw both graphs, x, y, okay, and then this is the graph of g, and then here, okay, we have our graph of f, right? So basically, where is the graph of f? Let me just change this color. Where is the graph of f greater than the graph of g? What you're gonna notice is what? From this point here, which is basically point R, right? And then this is point T. From this point here at R, if you look at your y values, this graph, your y-axis, right? The graph of f is higher, right? It is higher. It keeps on being higher than the graph of g. Keeps on being higher all the way till to this point, right? And then also at point R. So the answer to this is what? From -1, x is to included all the way to 4. The graph of s is greater than the graph of g. So we were given included such that actually these values, they start from point R, right? They start exactly from R all the way to T since it's included. So also where the two graphs overlap, that is applicable. I hope that makes sense. So 6.4.2, they say use your graphs to solve for x where negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 2 is less than 0. So that is basically an equation of a graph, right, of parabola, of which you'll notice that the difference between the two, that one we had previously at 16 plus 16, and then this one is -2 at the end, right? So from that, we can try to make 6.4.2 to look like 6.3, okay? So that we can have f of x on the left hand side and then whichever number on the right hand side. So let's do that. So this is basically -2x squared plus 4x minus 2 being less than 0. So -2x squared plus 4x, to make it look like 16, which is the f of x, we're gonna say plus 18, right? And then since we introduce 18, we're gonna also subtract 18, right? So 18 cancels out, didn't change the equation. So here we end up with -2x squared plus 4x plus 16 being less than 18, right? So this is basically f of x, remember, less than 18. Okay, going back to our graph, we noted that this point here was 1:18, right? So where is the graph less than 18? Basically, our graph is less than 18, moving from this point all the way down. Also moving from this point all the way down. The y values are less than 18, right? So we therefore say x is to the element real numbers where x is not equals to 1. So every other x value except where is equals to 1, right? That is what is gonna enable us to have our f of x being less than 18. Okay. And then there's also another method, which is the graphical method. Much more graphical method, I mean, instead of also including some mathematics behind. So let's think about it now. Okay, I'm just gonna draw this here. Okay. 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 Here we're at our point T, right? Okay. And then also using this right here, we will note that should we find the y-intercept, our y-intercept will basically be what? It will basically be 0 to 16, right? 0.8.16. So think about it now. For us to move from having 16 at the end all the way to -2, this graph is basically moved downwards by how many points? 18 points, right? It has moved downwards by 18 points. We can say 16 minus -2, which will give you 18, okay? So, anyways, let me write it. Okay, it has moved down by 18 points, right? So, if it has moved down by 18 points, now the y-intercept obviously is -2. Looking at, since now our basis graph is this one, is the graph that they gave us, was it, yeah, -2 less than 0, right? This is the basis graph that we're using. So using this graph, what you notice, what the y-intercept is -2 right here. And then the difference for the original graph was 2 from the y-axis to the maximum point was 2, right? So will it be 2 here? So if here we're -2, it's gonna touch at 0, right? And then it goes down, and then it also goes down. So basically our new s is basically 1 is to 0, right? And then from that, now, okay, this is basically, should you want to call it h of x, that's fine. But this is basically h of x less than 0, right? With 0 being our maximum y value. So here, if you look at this graph, where is it less than 0? All the way from this point going down, right? It's less than 0 when you are moving across the y-axis, right? Also all the way this way. So the answer is the same. X element real numbers, where x is not equals to 1, since it doesn't, the point 1 is not included, right? As we see from the less than sign. And then, yeah, anyways, s less than 1 or x greater than 1. Thank you for watching the video till the end. Kindly like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.